Yes, yes. Welcome to Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. I am Barry Long the second. And we are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today's California.com. We thank everybody for tuning in, everybody for just contributing to the show, everybody for sharing the post, everybody for liking CoachellaValley.com, and everyone for liking today's California.com. Now, like I said, my name is Barry Long, coming to you live from Indio, California. Hopefully, everyone had a great weekend. The world's been going crazy lately. The Taliban is taking over Afghanistan. You got fires happening all over the world. You got terrible floods happening all over the world. Just people, please stay safe out there, and please wear your masks because this Delta variant is serious. And it's taking out the kids, and the kids aren't vaccinated. So please, even if you are vaccinated, wear your mask. Just put your mask on. All right, now. So I wanted to start the show off with a little bit something fun. It's kind of our meme of the day, but this really isn't a meme. It's just they found John Cena's twin, y'all. His exact twin, his exact lookalike. There's only one difference, and I'll let you figure it out. But this is John Cena's twin. Isn't that great? Isn't that absolutely phenomenal? Shout out to that dude who looks exactly like John Cena. I never really man, that's crazy. That is an exact lookalike of John Cena. But yeah, that is our meme of the day right here on CoachellaValley.com. Today's California. Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. All right, so let's just hop right into some serious stuff that's been going on. Now, football is back. We've seen fans in the stands in these preseason games. They are turned up. They are lit. It's exciting because last year, football is one of those sports where when you watch the game on TV, you can't really see the crowd because of the way that they zoom in on the field. But when they pan out, you see how loud and how hyped those fans are and just how exciting the atmosphere looks in an NFL stadium. Well, the preseason games have been looking like regular season games when it comes to the fans. And fans have been going a little crazy. They've been getting a little out of hand. I saw a video yesterday that I will show you right now of a preseason game between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams, which is not a rivalry, okay? They're in two total different conferences, but for some reason, the fans got turned up and they decided to have a fight in the stands. And as you can see right here, my man in the yellow is just going crazy. You see my man in the yellow right there? Now, this is a fight between Chargers fans and Rams fans. Just crazy. But yeah, we've seen a lot of fans go crazy. And we saw fans in the basketball during the basketball season. We saw them, start throwing stuff onto the field, onto the court. We saw a water bottle being thrown at Kyrie Irving. We saw Russell Westbrook get popcorn dumped on him. We've seen different fans get out of line. And maybe it's because of the pandemic. Maybe people have been locked up in the house and they really don't know, how to act when they go out in public. But this is just ridiculous. And I don't know if you've ever had any experiences at professional games where you've been, taunted by fans, or you've seen somebody get into an argument or into a fight, into a physical altercation. But I know personally, I'm a Dodger fan, and I just recently went to San Diego to watch the Padres play against my Dodgers at Petco Park. And it's a beautiful stadium. And it's exciting for the fans of San Diego because they haven't had a team be good in a long time. And my past experience is going to Petco Park. I've never had any altercations. I've never had anybody, talking smack, not even playful. I mean, because their team wasn't good. The Dodgers have always been good. But this past couple months ago, I went to Petco Park and I was outnumbered. I was with my family, no other guys with me. And there was just these guys that just kept pestering me. And they were talking, they were cursing, and it was like it could have got out of hand. I mean, shout out to other Dodger fans that were sitting around that kind of stood up for me, or however you want to say it. But it's just ridiculous how some of these guys go to these games, they get liquored up, they drink all that beer, and they start acting crazy. And you see from right here, my man in the yellow, I mean, he wasn't having it. But yeah, there's beer being thrown onto these fans in the stands. There's a woman in the middle, like getting caught between. Look at the guy in the black shirt that's half hanging off. He's gonna fall here in just a moment. But yeah, this is just ridiculous when you see stuff like that at NFL games, at NBA games. And there's only been one really good fight that we've seen to come out, or one good thing that we've seen to come out of a physical altercation, and that was the Sons and Four guy, because he was being jumped. He handled two guys, and then he yelled Sons and Four. And of course, we know how that story took off later on. He became a viral sensation and just an overnight celebrity. Now, we are from the Coachella Valley. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We love when we have our locals do big things, especially on the professional front. We have Brandon Lee, who was a boxer from La Quinta. He's actually been on the show. He was on our very first show. We interviewed him and showed his knockout. But this is Brandon Lee, La Quinta's very own Brandon Lee. He boxes for Showtime. He was 22-0 going into this last bout on Saturday night. And he faced Victor Hernandez, and he defeated him within like a minute and 48 seconds. I mean, it was not even a fight. He punished that dude. He punished that dude. So shout out to Brandon Lee, friend of the show. Hopefully we'll have him on soon. He'll come back and he'll, explain and break it down how he punished that dude, Victor Fernandez. But yeah, it wasn't even a match. He was on Showtime this past weekend, and always good to see people from the Valley doing major things. So shout out to Brandon Lee, Brandon with a U. And yeah, man, he's 23-0. That's how these boxers start off. And then, who knows? He might end up being 51-0 like Floyd Mayweather. But definitely great to see a guy from the Valley doing his thing. Now, this is Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long II. You can comment on the show live, and just like Long Nunga Binky says, I can see him. I can see him. You can see me, or you can see the guy in the yellow. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but shout out to you for tuning in. We appreciate the love. If you are on Facebook, type in Coachella Valley on the search engine, or type in Today's California and like the page, and you'll pop up every time we go live. So this is a live interactive sports podcast, not like all the other podcasts where they're pre-recorded and they're edited and they take forever to do. No, we go live. We just hop on. F it, we'll do it live. All right, so I also wanted to talk some really fun news. This is exciting news. Now, Alex Smith, who we've seen, he's retired now, quarterback for the NFL, former number 1 overall draft pick. We saw the devastating injury that he had, but he's become a NFL analyst for ESPN. So shout out to Alex Smith. I am very excited. If you guys remember, back a few years ago, he had that devastating injury when he was playing for the Washington Redskins. And I mean, it was just ridiculous. His leg was bent the wrong way, and you could see the agony and the pain on his face. If you go back and watch some of those clips of that injury, it is just gruesome. It's one of those ones where you cringe when you watch it, but you have to keep watching it over and over again because it's just like, it's so insane. But yeah, he came back from a long injury. Terrible stuff that happened with the injury. He ended up getting an infection with it, staph infection. He ended up almost losing his leg, almost losing his life. There was a wonderful documentary done on ESPN about him. And just to hear he and his wife describe the injury and the recovery was just amazing. I mean, look at his leg. His leg literally looked like this, like meatloaf, or like a wine cork bottle, like the cork in a wine bottle. Like it, I don't even know what that is. Like it's insane. And he went from that to fixing his leg up a little bit, making it at least able for him to be out there on the football field. And he ended up playing in an NFL game and getting tackled. He got tackled with that leg. Oh my goodness. So Alex Smith, man, just the greatest comeback story we've ever seen, probably in professional sports, because this guy almost lost his life. And for him to battle back and then to make such a splash with the documentary and his personality, and look at him, he's a good looking guy. I mean, he could be a model. But ESPN was smart by picking him up, and he really does explain the game well. And if you think about Alex Smith, when he first came into this league as a number 1 overall draft pick in San Francisco, he had 3 different offensive coordinators his first 3 years. He never really had a steady playbook. He never really had steady teammates around him. It just wasn't a situation fit for a number 1 overall draft pick. for longevity for him to stay there. Then he finally gets Jim Harbaugh, and that's a great marriage. They end up having a successful season. He gets concussed. Colin Kaepernick, who everybody's raving about, kind of like they're talking about Justin Fields and Trey Lance behind Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco right now. But Colin Kaepernick was the hot name. Colin Kaepernick steps in, performs well. They decide to go with the hot hand and to leave Alex Smith out of the plan. And Alex Smith has to sit back and watch his team become Super Bowl contenders and then eventually go to the Super Bowl where they lost. But it was tough to watch his team be quarterbacked by another leader. And for him to go through that was tough. And so he goes on, he moves on. He ends up in Kansas City, where a similar situation happens with Patrick Mahomes. He's the starter for 2 years. They draft Pat Mahomes. He was a great starter, by the way. They had winning records in each of his seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs. They draft Patty Mahomes, who everybody knows is going to be the future of this league. Whoever was at the combine, whoever was watching him in the preseason, it was the NFL's worst kept secret. Patrick Mahomes was coming, and he was going to be a star. And everybody, all the teammates were raving about him, during the training camp. So Alex Smith, has a great season. He teaches Pat Mahomes how to be a leader, how to be a franchise quarterback, how to conduct yourself in the huddle. And then he has to watch Pat Mahomes take his job and then eventually lead this team to a Super Bowl. So he does not have any Super Bowl rings, Alex Smith, but he's got a lot of footprint in the NFL with teaching younger quarterbacks how to play in this league. And then he goes to Washington, and we saw him with Dwayne Haskins, and they had a pretty good relationship. Dwayne Haskins didn't really work out, but Alex Smith stepped in and certainly led that franchise for as long as he could until that devastating injury. But Alex Smith, just a long, long road to a great, great second part of his career. This is the second half, if you want to keep it football terms. We saw Tony Romo, who never could win in the NFL with the Cowboys. We saw him struggle in the playoffs with the fumble and all this other stuff that he's done. And then he became an analyst, and he's probably the number one NFL football analyst, color guy that we have right now. I mean, he is phenomenal. He predicts plays. I know that this past offseason he wasn't right on all his predictions, but Tony Romo is the truth, and you know it. When you watch Tony Romo on those broadcasts, the way he describes the game, the way he knows the game, it's amazing. So hopefully Alex Smith has something similar to Tony Romo, that second career in broadcasting, and I'm excited for Alex Smith. I'm really excited for Alex Smith. We have a comment from Walt Fasolis Jr. He says, second place Dodgers. Yes, Dodgers are in second place right now. And it is what it is, but we're coming, and we are looking good. We got Max Scherzer, who played well last night, and it was funny to watch the game, the Mets and the Dodgers game. Dave Roberts told a story where he said that baseball, they always pat each other on the butt when they do something good or do something well, and he said that Dave Roberts said he patted Max Scherzer on the butt, and Max Scherzer turned around and looked at him and said, "Don't effing touch me." Woo! I mean, that's that dog in Max Scherzer. But, he just does. He said that, and don't tell him good job, because he feels like this is his job and this is what he's supposed to do. So shout out to Max Scherzer, and shout out to Walter Fasolis Jr. for commenting. You can get your comments read just like Walter, just like Long Nanga Binky. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on today'scalifornia.com. This is Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. Don't forget the 2. All right. So we've talked some boxing. We've talked some football. We're going to talk more football here in the second part of the show. We're going to talk the NFC North. We got predictions to make in that division as well. But I also wanted to bring up some NBA news real quick. Coming out from Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN. He says that Patrick Beverly and Rajon Rondo and a guy named Daniel Ortudu have been traded to the Memphis Grizzlies for Eric Bledsoe. I feel bad for Daniel Ortudu because his name is not hyphenated, or his name is not like highlighted like the other guys' names. So it's basically like He's just collateral. His name didn't deserve to be in blue. It's terrible. But yeah, this is a trade that's big for the Clippers, and they're gonna get Eric Bledsoe. And I'm not really an Eric Bledsoe believer. He's been on the Clippers before. It's where he started his career, but he can't shoot, in my opinion. He's fast. He's quick. He can defend. He's athletic. He can even facilitate to some extent. But I just don't think that he is a shooter. And I think that what Patrick Beverley brought to the table defensively, and what Rondo could bring to the table as far as a facilitator goes, I feel like they got the worst end of that deal. And I do not think that this is going to put them over the top. Eric Bledsoe is not a third fiddle on anybody's big three, in my opinion. So I don't know what the hell the Clippers are doing, but they just traded 2-point guards over to Memphis. Now Memphis has 3-point guards. They got Ja Morant, who's not losing his starting job. And now they got Rondo, and they've got Pat Beverley. Pat Beverley will be a good piece to the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think Rondo will end up staying with the Memphis Grizzlies. He usually bounces around from year to year. But yeah, Rondo might retire soon and become a coach. Who knows? We've heard that could be a possibility coming up in his career as well. So shout out to Rondo and Pat Bev. But yeah, Eric Bledsoe to the Clippers. And I'm not convinced that this is going to make the needle move. I'm just not. Now, let's talk some gymnastics news. Naomi Osaka, number 1 woman ranked in the world. We saw her withdraw from the French Open due to what she called mental health issues. She decided not to attend a press conference, and she got a lot of criticism from the media. And once she got criticized, she decided, I'm just going to pull out for mental health. And she did her first press conference since she pulled out of the French Open, and she broke down into tears when she was chastised by a member of the media saying, you benefit from all the coverage you get, but you don't want to do interviews for the media. And she broke down crying about that. And she also was asked about Haiti. There was an earthquake in Haiti. I told y'all the world is going crazy. There was an earthquake in Haiti, devastating. Now, we know they had one in 2010 where they lost 250,000 people. 250,000 people. 250,000 people just like that dead. So they had another one just recently, a couple days ago. So prayers to everybody out there in Haiti. But Naomi Osaka is going to donate whatever she makes in this next upcoming tournament to Haiti and the relief efforts there. It's not like when the building collapsed in Florida and we had, an organized relief and recovery effort. It looks chaotic in Haiti. If you've seen some of the recovery efforts, it looks chaotic. And but yeah, shout out to her for doing something so special and doing a very humanitarian thing. But Naomi Osaka has come out and she has spoke for the first time since that press conference, and she broke down today. It's very hard to watch, but she's just keep on pumping on, man. We had Simone Biles come out for mental health issues, and she's bringing it to the forefront. So I applaud what they're doing as far as bringing this out, and making it known. Now other people who have mental health issues, who have panic attacks and anxiety, maybe they won't feel so afraid to speak up now. So shout out to Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles. Now, before we jump into this division, because we got to get into it. We don't have much time left here on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I'm not the first. I'm not the second. I am not the first. I'm not the third. I'm the second. Get it right. Jeez. All right. So AP poll, top 25 just came out for college football. And we're looking at Alabama number 1. Is that a surprise? They always are number 1. They just funnel them in and out. Top recruits. They got guys that are sitting third string right now that could be Heisman Trophy candidates on any other team, but they can't play because they're playing for Alabama because there's better talent around them right now in front of them. But yeah, Alabama number 1, Oklahoma number 2. Shout out to Lincoln Riley and what he's been able to do with that program. Clemson, we expect them to be at the top of the heap. We also expect Georgia and Ohio State to be there. One notable name that we did not expect to be in the top 10, North Carolina. Now, they were ranked as high as number 4 last year, or number 5 last year. And then they lost and they got knocked down. But that head coach, Mac Brown, he's been doing a little bit of things. People criticize them for hiring an older head coach, and Mac Brown, the former coach of the Texas Longhorns, he was in his 70s when they hired him, but he has been able to bring some good recruits in there. And last year we saw a shortened season for college football where half the teams weren't even playing. So North Carolina sneaking into the top 10 wasn't a surprise because you didn't have a lot of teams that were there. But this year, them being started off in the top 10 is a beautiful thing. I'm from Virginia, a lot of Tar Heel fans in the area I'm from, and Coastal Carolina fans down at number 22. You see, Coastal Carolina is in the top 25 in the AP poll, and you got a team like Louisiana Lafayette and Arizona State. Shout out to DC, Arizona State. Their head coach is Herm Edwards. Now they're in the top 25, so this should be an exciting year for college football. Hopefully they expand this college football playoff, and we get to see more teams. And hopefully they can turn it into something like the NCAA men's basketball tournament or the women's basketball tournament, where every team has a chance to win a national championship. Because when we go into these 4-team playoffs, we know that it's either going to be Alabama's going to win or Clemson's going to win. Or Ohio State or Georgia, and that's it. We have not even seen more than 6 teams make it to the Final Four. So the talks that the NCAA has had this past couple of months about potentially expanding it to 8 teams, maybe 12 teams, maybe 16, will be phenomenal. They'll have to shorten out the season and figure out some ways to get these games, played, these playoff games played. But I think that it'll make the game more exciting. It'll make the college football playoff more exciting if there are other teams that are in play besides just Alabama and Clemson. And we know that anybody could be the champion because they only play one game, and it's not like a series where the best team is going to win out always. So shout out to the AP top 25 and those teams, those schools that are smaller schools that have kind of crept into the top 25. We'll see if they last. I for one, believe North Carolina will remain in the top 25. The ACC is not really that good this year. So we look at we could see North Carolina becoming maybe one of those playoff teams. So that's my bold prediction here in college football. Watch out for North Carolina. They are serious. UNC, Chapel Hill, and we're not talking basketball. We are talking football. All right, this is Go On Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long II. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on CoachellaValley.com and today'scalifornia.com. We don't have very much time to talk left. Oh, DC, David Carlin, there he is. Shout out to my man. He says ASU is better than USC. Now, DC is from the Coachella Valley, but he went to college out there in the party school that is Arizona State. And he knows a lot about the fan base out there and just the culture. And I'm excited to see the top 25. Finally, Herm Edwards' old self could get that team playing right. A lot of people didn't like that hire. I loved it. Hasn't really, came into fruition because Arizona State is a team that's constantly 7-7 every year. 7-7, 7-7. It seems like they can't get over that 500 mark. But Herm Edwards, that name power that he has, and just the recruiting ability. And just his personality and his swag, he's going to bring some good players to the table. And finally, we are seeing his freshman class start to rise to the top. And maybe Arizona State will be a factor moving forward, hopefully. For your sake, David Carlin, I hope they are. All right, now let's jump right into the NFC North before the show runs out because we don't have much time left. Now, I always tell you that I go from worst to first, and y'all know how we do. We go from worst to first. So I'm going to pick the worst team in this division, in my opinion, and that's going to be the Detroit Lions. Now, it's no surprise. Detroit Lions have been the worst in this division for as long as I can remember. Even when they had Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, Megatron, they've always been the worst. It's just been a hard road for the Lions. I believe they made the playoffs once or twice in my lifetime, and that's no exaggeration. But this year they have a new head coach in Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell came out with that weird press conference where he's talking about biting off the opponent's kneecaps and that's how we're going to fight. And it wasn't received well by the media. They got rid of Matt Stafford in exchange for Jared Goff. Matt Stafford wanted a new atmosphere. Jared Goff wanted a new environment. Jared Goff, we've seen him be, he's going to be the starter of this team. We've seen Jared Goff be successful in LA when he had a good running game, when he had a great O-line, when he had a good offensive coordinator calling his plays, when he had some decent receivers and some really good tight ends. He's not going to be set up like he was in LA. This is going to be a rough year for him. I don't like what they're doing at running back. They got Swift as their running back, but Swift has not been around much lately at all. They really haven't had a running game since the beginning of Matt Stafford's career. That's part of the reason why he wanted out. I like the defense has been terrible as well, and I like the acquisition of Jamie Collins coming over, but they just have a weak secondary, weak linebackers, and this is going to be a long, long season for Jared Goff. So hopefully, they can draft well coming up, and because they're going to have a number 1 overall draft pick or number 2 probably next season. I look for this team to be terrible this season, and it's going to be a rough year for Jared Goff. So shout out to Matt Stafford for going over to LA. Hopefully he has a good season, but I just don't see Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions having a successful season. They will finish 4th, in my opinion, in this division. Now 3rd will be the Vikings. Mike Zimmer. He will be on the hot seat this season. He has been doing well with this Vikings as the head coach. We know he was the defensive coordinator in Cincinnati, came over and brought that kind of mentality that he had with that defense, with Vontaze Burfict and all those guys. He brought that mentality to Detroit or to Minnesota. They went out and got their quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who I'm still not a believer in. But he's got weapons. He's got Dalvin Cook as his running back, who everybody wants as their running back for fantasy football. And he's got Adam Thielen. He's got Justin Jefferson. And now that they added some more pieces, they added a tight end. They tried to upgrade this O-line. This O-line was the number 26 O-line in the past season. They got to protect Cousins because that's part of the reason why he struggled in Minnesota is he hasn't been able to have enough time to go through all his reads. So it's been a difficult time, this past season. They had some success early on with Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins, but it just has been it was rough last season for this team and for that O-line. So if they can't protect Kirk Cousins, which I don't think they'll do that well this year, it's going to be a rough season. And their defense is not very good either. The number 29th ranked defense in the league. Although they have Anthony Barr and Harrison Smith as the leaders of this defense, they went out and brought in Bashar Breeland from the Chiefs. So hopefully he can help their secondary out. But I think that this will be a rough season for this team as well. I look for them to finish 3rd in this division. Now, 2nd in this division, okay? We got to do it. It's going to be the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears has a great defense historically the last couple of years. They are loaded with Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith and Akeem Hicks. And even the secondary, they got Eddie Jackson back there. They got some good players back there. But they got a new defensive coordinator in Sean Desai. And he was the former safety coach. He's coming in, stepping up to a new role that he's never had before in the NFL. Look to see him try to change up some things because this defense underperformed last season. They were number 14th out of the 32 teams, and they underperformed. Frankly, just weren't as good as they should have been. And the quarterback play has not been there. It's been non-existent since they had Mitchell Trubisky. Now he's gone. He's moved over to Buffalo. He's the backup to Josh Allen. But Matt Nagy finally has his quarterback in Justin Fields. And if you saw Justin Fields in his preseason debut, you know that this kid can play. He can flat out play the quarterback position. He goes through his reads. He has a strong arm. He's accurate. He can throw on the run like Patrick Mahomes. Now, he ain't no damn Pat Mahomes. All right, he ain't no damn Pat Mahomes. But he's got a lot of similar skill set. He's athletic, man, and he's gonna go and if on 3rd and long, he can maybe extend the drive with his legs and get that first down that you need, like Cam Newton did when he was in his prime. So I think that they need to put this guy out as a starter early. I mean, I'm tired of seeing all these quarterbacks, number 1 overall draft picks or first round draft picks, have to sit and wait in order to get their shot. This guy looks like he's ready. So you got Andy Dalton and you got Nick Foles as the backups, who are, good backups, serviceable backups, probably some of the best backups in the league. But it's time to put this kid out there, Justin Fields. But I just don't see them being better than the best team in this division. And this team might even win the Super Bowl this season. Aaron Rodgers led Green Bay Packers. I love what Matt LaFleur has been able to do his first 2 years as the head coach. He got criticized for being young. He got criticized at the end of last season for the final drive that he decided to go for the field goal instead of letting Aaron Rodgers go for it on 4th down. They've been criticized, because of the way that they've handled Aaron Rodgers in the front office. But I just see that this team is ready, man. They are ready. Aaron Rodgers is ready. Him and Devontae Adams doing the little post of the last dance together. That lets you know their mentality. And I fully believe that they are capable of winning the Super Bowl. They've been in the NFC Championship time and time again. Aaron Rodgers is ridiculous that he only has one Super Bowl ring. But it is time. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams, who is the number one ranked player in Madden, the number one ranked receiver in Madden. They got Valdez Scanting. They get Randall Cobb back, who was a security blanket for Aaron Rodgers. They got the number 2 offensive line in the league, so they will protect the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why the hell Aaron Rodgers want to leave when he has that O-line in front of him and those weapons. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting to see how this season plays out and how much drama surrounds Aaron Rodgers. The defense also looks great. They got the Smith guys, Preston Smith, Darius Smith. They were the number 13 ranked defense in the league last year. So Packers fans, there's a lot to be excited for. I know it was a rough, kind of tumultuous offseason, not knowing whether or not A-Rod was going to be back, but he is back and he looks focused. And he has been able to compartmentalize whatever is going on the sidelines, whatever's going on in the front office, whatever's going on in his head with his family, because he's had family issues. He's always been able to compartmentalize that, put that off, and focus on the here and now. And that's what he's going to do this season. And if I was going to pick a Super Bowl pick, I would pick Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers right now. Put money on them right now in Vegas. So, yeah, I picked the Packers to win this division, and I also picked them to win the entire NFC. Book it. You heard it here first on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. Not the first, not the second, not the third, the second. But yeah, I got the Green Bay Packers winning this division. So I just wanted to shout out everybody for tuning in. Shout out DC again. Shout out Walt for commenting in and Long for commenting in. David calling my man. Shout out to him. And yeah, just want to leave y'all with this meme real quick one more time. Just for the people who weren't watching earlier. This is John Cena's lookalike. Oh my God, he looks just like John Cena. I love it. All right, guys, remember, we're out of time, but remember, FMI. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you are capable of doing anything. This has been another episode of Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. Thanks for tuning in.